I'm here with Michael Lynch, and sitting down with someone like you who has such a wide array of experiences, right? You're an entrepreneur, an artist, and you are philanthropic in your philosophy and in everything that you do, but it didn't start that way. So you're the CEO and founder of Stairway Recovery. You help addicts. You've been an addict. You've been in jail. You've been around the block a time or two. So let's talk a little bit about Stairway Recovery. And because I think that is the nexus of everything that you are and your experiences as an entrepreneur and an artist, right? Like you're so much more than, a recovering addict. But let's start there, right? Let's talk about the pivot. The moment you decided this was the thing.
I started as a passion project. I've been working with addicts and helping addicts for 17 years.
Yeah.
Since my life changed, because it's a miracle. That I could change from where I come from. And I just wanted to show others that it's possible, no matter how far down the scale you've been. But I've owned a lot of businesses, even since I've been clean. And about 8 years ago, I really just directed everything towards helping addicts and mental health. I think that they coincide, honestly. And I started a little passion project in the midst of this horrible industry. I'm not a big fan of the treatment industry, even though I'm in it. I think that I've heard there's a over 90% fail rate.
Yeah.
I see it myself. And I've been talking.
When you say that the industry as it exists, give context on that?
Like the treatment and rehab industry.
Like a rehab.
Like rehab.
Program. Okay.
Yeah. And I think that the lines get crossed. A lot of people think that like recovery is rehab. And, these rehabilitation centers.
Yeah.
Is
it a racket?
It's a racket.
Yeah.
And
it feels like a racket.
Just Google right now, the people that are on the top of the list, they're not going to like me saying this, but they're the biggest racket.
Yeah.
And they're spending millions of dollars a month on pay-per-click and Google and they don't want you to get better.
Right. Because you're going to keep going back.
Well,
right?
Let's look at any other business. Any other business, it's about repeat customers.
Yeah, subscription model.
That's right.
to
so
rehab,
to sit there
right?
and think that these business people are not into repeat customers, you guys can see it with the celebrities, with people that are in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. And it's because the model is, get you centered-ish while you're in there.
Right.
Without any tools on how to actually transform your life and really getting to the cause of like why. Why is it that we sabotage ourselves?
Yeah.
They don't, it's more like Band-Aids. This whole industry is about Band-Aids. And, I'm going to be offending a lot of people on this. But the truth is this, is Big Pharma is poisoning addicts with their narcotic medications. And they started the opioid crisis. And then Big Pharma comes to save the day, and they have it mandated now that the doctors doctors only have 3 hours of addiction training in all of their training.
Really?
Yeah. Isn't that ridiculous?
That's absurd.
So all doctors really do is a doctor will follow medical journals. And so medical journals will say, this is what you do if this, if you have diabetes, give insulin at this level. What they're doing now is you have these medical journals saying these doctors or these, the doctors are saying to give narcotic medications, addictive narcotic medications for the solution for addiction. When I say it that way, doesn't it sound odd?
It's fucked up.
But here's what's crazy is that I get a lot of flack because of people say, oh, I don't care about addicts. You're killing addicts. They have everyone so brainwashed. And if you go back and you look at all of the studies, they're all financed by Big Pharma.
Yeah.
But I could go on and on about that. The thing is that you have the doctors, you have the treatment facilities, these professionals, and even with the psychiatrists and it's a broken system. And at the end of the day, it's not an argument. It's a fact.
Right.
It's let's look at treatment in general. It's a broken business. If you're looking at long-term recovery rates, it's a broken system. So I've known that. I'm in recovery. I'm seeing it with my own eyes and for a long time. And I've been talking crap about it for a long time. And I decided to do something about it.
So it takes a lot of courage and maybe a little bit of insanity to sit here on a business podcast and talk about taking on big pharma and the way, current recovery programs are maybe, a racket,
Yes.
right? So your background is you are tough, right? And you're an entrepreneur. How do you take on like these behemoths, right? And how do you change current thinking?
Like, one addict at a time.
Okay, see, I love that.
One addict at a time.
One at a time, right?
One addict at a time.
Because everyone is different.
I have had thousands. We're the largest in our area now. This is not an opinion. It's a fact that I have thousands of addicts that have come through our places and they're clean. And most of our people that are coming in are suffering from the most poisonous drug out there, fentanyl. Yeah. That's our number one right now. And you look at the statistics and they're not going down. They're going up. And it's so sad. When I was in high school or junior high, I was very young using drugs, but we started with like weed, drinking. The younger people today are starting with these pills that are pressed that have fentanyl in them, and the addiction it's killing a whole generation. Yeah. And I am not afraid to do the right thing anymore. I'm not. I've never been afraid to do what I think. Today just my thinking has changed. Yeah. But I can show how if I help one person and I dedicate the way that it worked for me to them, with a team, the results are there if they're willing to do it. The results are there.
It's altruistic, right? But you have to make this a business, right? So how do you structure, like the big rehab centers, like their business models are very well understood and very, very profitable, huge margins. How do you make money on this? How do you, like people who are in active addiction on fentanyl, who have nothing, right? Other than a desire to get their next hit. Yeah. How do you address this part of your business? Because it's like the lodestar, and I've heard you say this a couple times, for you is doing the right thing. How do you do the right thing and still keep the lights on?
Well, I've owned a lot of businesses. I could tell you if you looked at my business model, you would say that I'm not a smart businessman.
You're a lucky businessman.
When it comes to this, I think I'm a blessed businessman when it comes to this industry. If you want help, I'm willing to help you. I think that God will handle the rest. Our scholarships are a lot. I have a scholarship as a client that can't afford anything. Yeah. I also have a nonprofit that we try to help with. But the business model itself, I have all the different levels of care. I also have a medical practice, and I try to have ancillary businesses that can somehow fund some way to keep the lights on. And then I have other businesses also. This was all fully self-financed. Yeah. I have taken no money from anybody to do this, and it has definitely been a drain on my finances, but honestly, we keep growing. You know, it doesn't make sense. And I know this is an entrepreneur podcast. It doesn't make sense from a business standpoint how it's going, but it just keeps happening. Yeah. Honestly.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, I think it's really good to start with Stairway, right? Because in so many ways, it's a culmination of your experiences, your mistakes, your successes, all of it together in this beautiful program, right? And no one is turned away, right? You want to help people, you want to do the right thing. But let's talk about your entrepreneurial experience, because some of it is fucking funny. Right. So let's start at the beginning, right? You were taught
10 years old.
We don't have to go into the details, but you are in many ways, the epitome of a serial entrepreneur,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
let's start when you were
I
10.
had to be.
10
I had to
you
be.
had to be.
I'm a foster kid, so I had to hustle to eat, and I didn't like staying in places, so I ran away from everywhere. So my first hustle, I call it the hustles, my hustle muscle. The first one was selling illegal fireworks at school. And it moved on to, I was in juvenile hall and California Youth Authority and prison for a lot of my life. And I was very good at organizing people. I was good at building teams. I would have sales teams in there, call it what you want, and all kinds of different contraband. Yeah. And, the accounts receivable got a little crazy sometimes. But I everything that I've learned in business, not everything, but a lot of it comes from, learning back then, to be honest with you. And I just, with it turned into Felony Fights, I got out and I created a series called Felony Fights where I liked fighting. I was in the gang world, and Felony Fights was a best-selling project that I sold DVDs. I had 8 different movies that sold all over the world. They were best-selling in Best Buy, Sam Goody, Tower at the time, and pay-per-view. And I used the money that I made in prison to finance that. And then I used that to finance other businesses. And I built a multi-million-dollar entertainment company at that time through that, till I threw it away.
Yeah. Let's talk about the entertainment company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I did the Felony Fights. I had club promotions, a lot of different clothing brands, ancillary businesses off of the Felony Fights movies. And then
let's pause,
okay,
because there are younger people in this room and maybe even listening. Let's talk about what the Felony Fights is about, right? Okay. Because it's wild.
It is wild.
Right. But it was at a time when people were doing really wild shit. So.
Well, and it kind of helped YouTube become what it is. And I had a resentment on YouTube for so many years because when YouTube came out, we were one of the number one things on YouTube. And we would upload, we would upload one video, one fight, and it would hit millions, and it was basically an underground fight club with no rules. And we would here's how it worked legally. I was legally allowed to distribute in the United States, but I wasn't allowed to film in the United States without a sanctioning license. And there was no way to sanction these fights because there was no rules. There were weapons in some of them. There were 2-on-2s. I had a whole series of women fights.
Seems really dangerous.
It was very dangerous.
Okay.
Very dangerous. It was the most violent content out there at the time. And that's why it hit so big. At the time, I had the most violent content. And it hit huge online presence, everything. And then, of course, it sold the movies. It's crazy because I didn't even need the advertising dollars because it was bootlegged so much that it went everywhere, but the online presence was so massive that it sold my films when they would hit the stores and the newer ones. Yeah, it was a pretty crazy time, and I'm the guy in the middle of all of them. And I chose the fighters. Nobody knew who they were going to fight until that morning. And there was overkill. It was very violent.
Yeah.
So you had to have a certain kind of mindset to do this kind of
very
thing.
Gladiator,
very gladiator,
Circus Maximus kind of stuff.
Well, they deemed us the real Fight Club. Online is what it got deemed, which it absolutely was. Yeah.
And then what happened with that?
Well, it's funny because it was so big and at the time, and a lot of people thought that it stopped. I was arrested, and people thought I was arrested because of Felony Fights, and I wish it was something so, I guess,
romantic almost.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. But it wasn't. It was because I was drunk at 8 a.m. one morning and I assaulted a police officer, and they tried to give me a life sentence for that.
Wow. Mm-hmm. But you didn't, obviously.
No.
So let's talk a little bit about entrepreneurship and redemption, right? And you've had all these scrappy experience as almost an accidental entrepreneur. You did it for survival, right? But how have you turned those experiences into where you are now, right? And you said earlier you have all these other businesses feeding into Stairway to help keep the doors open. Like how is this, your sobriety, your experiences, right? Like how has entrepreneurship really been a part of your, I mean, do we call it redemption, Michael? Like I don't know. I've
always thought that way. Like my brain has always seen opportunities. Like, what's a funny one or an odd one, a trend that happened and I made a lot of money on it was the vaping industry.
Yeah.
The vaping thing. And I got into the vaping industry. I saw it. People were barely doing it at the time. I had a friend that was doing it. I asked him what it is. I Googled it. I didn't know anything about vaping. I seen that it was like this worldwide, like it was like Star Wars and hippies combined kind of people. And I just automatically opened up a couple shops. And then I opened a manufacturing distribution company that I was selling from South Africa to the UK to the United States. And it was, I got in as the upswing and, even in my little shops, I was making $6,000 a day just in the little shops. My distribution company
is it still a thing? Like I'm so far removed from
No, what happened is in businesses like that, it's about getting in and getting out if it's a trend, and the vaping thing was a trend. And, we had these shops where people would come in and hang out and I would do parties. And I always tied my entertainment background into the things I've done. Even today with Stairway, I do the biggest parties and, sober parties now and stuff. And I make sobriety fun.
Yeah.
But, even with the vaping, I would do these vape parties and these crazy competitions where you have these clouds and you get, winner gets $10,000 for blowing a vape cloud, just trendy stuff. And then it started happening where in the gas stations, they were having the vapes and that's when, it's the time to get out of it. When big tobacco got involved.
Yeah.
And that's when, and then they, California started, having some of their, rules and laws and, we got out.
You got out.
Yeah.
What's next, right? Like, where do you go from here?
I'm not going to stop until the last addict dies of fentanyl.
Yeah.
I've now, I've owned so many different businesses and I usually have my hand in so many different things. And God has been putting on my heart just to focus just on this. And there's so much work that needs to be done. And, I'm expanding. I'm expanding from Los Angeles to Ventura. I'm looking at Colorado right now. And
I live there.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Colorado, there's a big need.
Really?
There's a big need. Yeah. And it's cool because Medicaid, is easy to get in Colorado. It takes me 6 weeks. I've been trying to I got Medi-Cal for my sober livings. Medi-Cal, it's a corrupt system in California. Jeez. There's so much need in addiction and mental health, but they make it nearly impossible to get Medi-Cal. Right. But yet they're getting billions of dollars federally. What are they doing with the money?
Yeah.
Politicians? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, I'm going to just keep going and try to, take our company national. And I have the most amazing team because everyone that works for Stairway went through Stairway.
Oh, that's interesting. So what is different about your program versus like some of the big, the Utah,
huge
Arizona, difference. Like, let's talk about how you're differentiating yourself in the marketplace and like, how do people even find out about you? Right? Like, what's the marketing strategy? Like, how do you, but first of all, what makes you unique? Right.
We care. That's definitely what makes us unique. We care. We don't use people like a commodity. When these other places are looking at an insurance policy, they're just about, quick, dry. We keep them even when there's no finances at the end, whether they're a private pay, a scholarship, insurance-based. We keep them until the work is done. And we focus not just on addiction, but trauma, which I believe trauma is the underlying cause for a lot of this. Yeah. And so we work really well with it. We have great clinical. We're not just an archaic 12 steps, even though we are 12 steps. But I think that what makes us definitely different, the number one thing is that we nudge everybody into a lifelong recovery life. And that I found personally through 12 steps. And we really introduce them to that. We're a giant community as well.
Yeah.
Just because you leave our care, you still join like the family. And we have massive community where I live. And the people that come through Stairway, I always say this is, it's not a success of mine if you come through my program and you just stay clean. That's not a success. Success is if you come through our program, stay clean, and then help the next person stay clean. Yeah. If you don't do that, then I failed you. Because I think the key is, we are in a war in addiction. And the key is to create more soldiers to fight the war. Yeah. Nobody's coming to save us. The government isn't, Big Pharma's not, the treatment industry isn't. It's going to be one addict helping another is the key, and I think that's the only solution, honestly. Yeah.
It's really interesting to me because we live in a time of scaling, right? Everybody wants to scale. Everybody wants more. They want to reach more people, more. Yeah. But there is something to be said for having impact on one person's life in anything that you do, right? Not just recovery, but in the effort and the engagement of having a positive impact on this planet and these people, all of us, right? Yeah, but I think that's such a broad swing in the way that people think today, because of the reach of social media and just scale, followers, more, right? We are individuals, right? That's right. And there's impact you can make one person at a time.
Think of the impact you've made in your life.
Yeah.
Of every person that you've ever come across.
Yeah.
Each person, that, like, the pebble effect is infinite.
Yeah.
And it's true. If like, I look at myself, like, I thought when I came in, like, I didn't have anything to offer other than destruction, violence. I hurt people for a living. I had no idea that, like, I could have the impact that I have today in a positive way. I had no idea. And it took somebody taking the time to help me. Yeah. And today I live my life trying to help people. And there are many people after me that are my friends, that are, that are doing the same thing. And that's why it is important to take the time on each person, and I didn't plan on Stairway becoming 150 beds that it is. I didn't. I started with a couple guys, and I just wanted to help these couple guys, and that was it. That's all I wanted to do. And I still look at things that way. It's each person, and I like that. I'm very busy, but I love it. Every single person under my care I know personally. Yeah. Every single one. It's a very tragic, if you call it an industry, though. And I didn't expect that. Yeah. I've had a lot of death in my life, my whole life. The problem with getting clean is you start to care a lot. Yeah. And you help, and you become really close with some of them, and they die. Yeah. And it's
part of the yin and yang of what you do. Like, there's going to be loss.
There's a lot of loss.
But the life that you bring and save is, that's powerful shit.
It's a strange thing, because I don't like saying this, but if you want my truth, I don't think that I would be doing this to the level 7 days a week all the time if it wasn't for the death. Yeah. I wish it were the successes. I wish it were the cakes. Because I get the opportunity to see miracles before my eyes all the time. I do. But it's the deaths that motivate me to do more, to try more. I'm always, our team is always looking at how we can get better, how we can streamline things, how we put in more systems in place. Because at the best we can do is stack the chips to your advantage. Yeah. That's the best I can do, but I can't save anybody. No. And it's I wish I could.
We are responsible for saving ourselves a lot of the time. So, I mean, you're really proof positive that anything is possible, right? Redemption, change, success, impact. I mean, it's really, your story is, it's poignant, but it's also inspiring, because there's always hope, and you bring it with you. What is your advice, right? Like all these not just for addicts, but for businesses, for people who have been cast aside, who are deemed, unworthy and impossible to succeed. What have you learned that you can, what's the wisdom?
In business?
And life,
Well, I guess both.
Yeah.
Failure is only when you give up. I look back. I don't think there's failure in life or business. I think there's redirections.
Yeah.
And if I have my mind on that, they're all redirections. I think that keep your expectations right.
Yeah.
In business and life. I watch a lot of people just from business. I watch a lot of people have an idea and they go all in, and they're hoping to pay their mortgage. You're losing your house if that's the case.
Yeah.
I think when you go into business, I think that I think you start something that you care about. Start something on the side that you care about. That's my advice to anybody. And a lot of people ask me advice on business, and I'll say, start something on the side that you're passionate about, and keep what you do paying your bills.
Yeah.
Start your side project. If you care about it and you believe in it, it's not going to matter what the outcome is.
Yeah.
The financial outcome. You're going to keep going at it. And I look back and, hindsight's 2020. None of it was really a plan. But I look back and I think, why is it that I was successful in so many different industries I've been successful in? And it's because it never occurred to me that you can quit. It just never occurred to me.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a thing. I remember a lot of my friends asked me, why didn't you sell Felony Fights? And I was like, didn't even think of that.
Wasn't a thing.
I could have. I just redirected to something different. And I did cage versus cons, where I had cops fighting ex-cons, professional mixed martial arts, and all these different things. But I never thought quit. It never occurred to me. And it's because anything I've ever done, it's something I'm passionate about. My passions have changed. That's for sure. But I think that's very important on life in general. Like for me, 90-something% of my life involves what I do, quote unquote, for a living.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that person. My nightmare would be to wake up on a Monday morning and live the life that you see on these memes all the time. You see all these memes and it says anti-Monday. I hate Monday, having to go to work. Yeah. Like, if I want to be grateful, all I have to do is read those memes.
Yeah.
All Seriously. Monday morning. And I think to myself, gosh, that would suck to be imprisoned in your own life.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be. I think you don't, but people are too afraid to branch out and get out of their comfort zone and to try something else. I think I can't imagine that because my brain doesn't work that way. It never has. But I think that it's like, that would be a nightmare.
It would be a nightmare. I think it's cultural, and I think it's also, it's scary, right? Like what you do is just so natural to you because you've been doing it your entire life, right? It's like breathing to you, right? But to somebody else who is, slightly more jaded toward failure, right? The fear of failure is the great obstacle for all humans. The fear of taking the first step to recovery. Fear is, it will stop you in your tracks.
Do you think anyone can be an entrepreneur though?
This is the $1 million question. It depends on how you define entrepreneur, right? Like an entrepreneur to me, I want to get your take on this too. An entrepreneur to me is not necessarily a small business owner. Entrepreneurship is the spirit with which you go about doing something. You don't necessarily have to even have a business. It's how you think. It's your problem solving, your creativity, right? And it's also hustle, like there's a hustle to it. When I was running Entrepreneur Magazine, this is a true story, Michael, so hold on to your butt. When I looked back in the morgue, we used to call it the morgue, where all the old issues were stored, the cover story, I'm just trying to show you how the meaning of entrepreneurship has evolved over time. The cover of the 1988 issue of Entrepreneur Magazine, that cover story was how to launch an Asian mail order bride company. I am not making that up. I was appalled and so many things. But Asian mail, like I'm going to mail this. Wow. So you could order a bride, Asian bride mail order business. Anyway, it was horrendous. It was everything that I can't imagine. But it used to be entrepreneurship was get rich quick, right? It was, but now it's got a lot more. It's zeitgeist, it's hopeful, it's inspiring. I mean, I don't think everyone is built for entrepreneurship at all. It takes a certain mettle. It absolutely does. So that was my long-winded thing. I have tried to, I think there's two different thinkers, and I don't think one is greater than the other. I think it's just a different mindset. Yeah. And I've tried to turn, and I'm going to call it the 9-to-5er into the entrepreneur, and it doesn't work. Yeah. And I've had people that I brought in as business partners in some of my businesses, and it's 5, and they're like, "What? I'm still working." I'm like, yes. And then getting paid. And here's the biggest one. I think there's a certain mindset. A business owner or an entrepreneur, we are the hardest worker and the last one paid. Yeah, always. If you can't wrap your head around that, you're not made for this. And that part right there is the thing that I don't think you can get somebody to understand if they don't have that in them. Right. And I have tried. And, some people are great at being told A, B, C, and they're looking towards somebody to show them that there's D and E, and they'll stop on C. Yeah. Because they were told A, B, and C. Yep. And then that is just not how it works. Then there's some of us. Yeah. You're telling me A, B, and C, I'm already looking towards Y and how to get to it. Yeah. And it's just a mindset. And I really don't think, I've tried, and I might be wrong, but I've tried to make A, B, and C people into entrepreneurs. And that whole working harder than everyone else and the last one paid is a mindset. Yeah. And it's true. It's a real thing. You are the last one paid. That's right. Right. But you got to figure out a way to pay yourself. But you should be happy about it. Yeah. Because I'm happy to pay my staff. Yeah. I take pride in when I watch them buy a brand new car and they'd never bought one. I think it means more to me than it does to them. I'm gonna be honest with you, because I love that. And I love building people and teams and showing them how the skills that they have. And that's another thing that a lot of people say is, I think if I have one gift, I think the gift that God gave me is I can see in somebody their gifts that they can't see yet, and I can help bring them out. That's leadership. That's inspiring greatness in the people around you. That's right. Not beating them down, not micromanaging, lifting people up. That's right. So they can be the best version of themselves. Absolutely. That's a powerful leadership skill. Well, I want a team. I've never been able to do, and it's different ways of business. You have dictator business, and then you have team business. I can't do dictator wise. I think you would actually be a really shitty dictator. No offense. Yeah, I just don't think you were built for it. I'm not. I rely on people's skills that I don't have. Yeah, exactly. And I will find, people come in my path and they have skills that I don't have that I can put onto the team. And a lot of times I don't even know they have that skill. Yeah. And I'll bring it out in them, and they're more skilled than I am at that thing. And I want them to use that. I look at it like Voltron. I always say businesses are like Voltron. Every single person plays the part they're supposed to. When our egos get in the way of this is mine, that's when there's a problem. It's about the baby. Yeah. I always say the business is the baby. What's best for the baby? It's parenting. We're all parenting here. What's best for the baby? If we co-parent the right way, the baby's healthy. If it's all about me, baby's not healthy. Right. And I think that's how I do business. That's how I've always done business. Even in prison, that's how I did business, to be honest with you. And it doesn't seem logical, but teamwork does make the dream work in any single aspect of life. I am very glad we got to have this conversation. I feel, I feel like you're a kindred spirit and also an inspiration to a lot of entrepreneurs. And I wish you so much success with the work that you're doing because it is so meaningful.
I appreciate that from you.
Yeah. So thanks for popping by.
Thank you for the invite. It's an honor.
Good job.
Right on.
What a story.